Hello, everyone, and welcome to our presentation, which is about what happens beyond Go Live with your websites and our ongoing mission to ensure your website's success. Let's first start with presentations. I'm Alina. I'm a software engineer at Adobe for the past 7 years, and I'm working for the past year in the Adobe Basel office. Before I was in the Adobe Bucharest office. And this is Damian, also a software engineer. He's been my teammate for the past 7 years, but he's been longer at Adobe for the past 10 years. And actually, as you can see from the picture, we're funny people, but today we're a bit nervous because it's our first big talk. So let's get started. The agenda for today is we will first start with the key elements that ensure your website's success. Then we will go and move on to what are the operations that the search engine performs and how to improve each one of them. And then last but not least, we will move on to how to approach customer success. But we will first start with the celebration. Last year, AEM Edge Delivery Services was announced here at the adaptTo conference, and we ensured 100% Lighthouse Score for all of our customers that went live. And now, today, after 1 year, we can say that we have more experience with what happens beyond Go Live, and we had the opportunity to identify more opportunities because we've been working with many VIP customers. So let me show you what we actually discovered. So what makes a site successful? We will start with discoverability. So your site would be not important if it wouldn't have visitors. So the most important thing is first to attract these visitors. And how to do this? We have also seen statistics saying that 75% of the users do not even go beyond the first page in a search engine's result. So it's very important first to be listed in the top results in the first page of searches. Then, is this the end of the story? Is it important just to have visits? No. The story goes on, and it's very important that you have users that are being engaged. What does this mean? Is that they stay on the page and explore. And here also the Lighthouse Score goes in place. Because if the site is loading with a delay, there's a 100% increase in bounce rates, which means that the visitors will leave your site without exploring in the first seconds. And then also, what is important is not only engagement. We would like the users to produce conversions for our customers. What does this mean? This means performing actions like adding a product to the cart, or clicking on an advertisement, or playing a video. And also what we discovered is that 48% of them leave sites without producing any conversions. And now I will let Damian show you the search engine operations.
Thank you, Alina. Hello, everybody. So let's talk about search engines, because as Alina just said, it doesn't matter what you do on your website when your website is not being discovered in the first place. So here you can see the whole search engine process that we're going to talk about today. Let's start with the crawling part, where each URL of a page is being added into a queue. Then from this queue, each URL is being scraped by the search engine and the whole content downloaded. And then the whole content is being added into an index according to its relevancy. So then based on that index, then the search engine creates a ranking. So I'm sure you're all somewhat familiar probably with some of these steps, but let's recap some key points and see how you can optimize your site specifically for AEM Edge Delivery Services. So let's start first with the ranking part, and then we walk our way back all the way to the crawling part. OK, so what can you do in order for your page on your site to rank high for a specific user query? There are several things. First of all, there is page experience. You probably already know that. That is part of the Lighthouse Score. where it matters that the page loads really fast and the page is optimized for mobile devices. Then we also have user engagement, as Alina already said before, which is about metrics like click-through rate, bounce rate, and dwell time. So if lots of users click on the page in the search result and stay on the page afterwards and don't immediately go back to the search engine, this will rank the page higher afterwards. So these two things are things that mainly were focused on about so far in AEM Edge Delivery, but it's more to it than just these two things. There's also relevance, content quality, and page authority. But what are these things, and what can you do to improve your page in regards to those three things? Well, that's what our talk is going to focus on mainly. Okay, so let's quickly have a look at these things. Relevance mainly is about the context of the content and regards to the keyword that the user enters into the search query, so the actual search intent of the user. Then the content quality is all about the whole page structure. How well is the text content on the page structured? Are there any grammar or spelling mistakes? Or is the whole content well readable by a user? This all contributes to a higher ranking for the content quality. Then we have page authority, and this is all about the domain authority score that is given to the overall domain of your page. Then there is the internal linking structure, which is, if the whole structure is very complex or has broken links, that is an issue, and you want to avoid that. Then there is backlinks, which is probably the most important thing in this list here, because backlinks are links from other sites that go link to your page. And they contribute to the page authority score, but as well as to the overall domain authority score. Then if the backlinks are broken, so if you removed a page, for example, then the link doesn't work anymore and you lose the page authority score as well as the domain authority score. And this is the thing we're going to look at now first, because that's something that you can control on your page, and we want to talk about how you can fix this automatically. So let's imagine, quickly for an example here, that the adaptTo page is a highly reputable page with a high domain authority and a lot of traffic. And let's say that the adaptTo page has a lot of links to my page and therefore contributes to a lot of page authority score. But I recently removed a lot of pages because they might not be relevant anymore. They might be outdated blog posts, for example. And now I am losing all of the domain authority score from the adaptTo page. There's a lot of 404 links that exist on the adaptTo page. So the easiest way to fix this, obviously, is to just create a permanent redirect to a working page. But how can you automate this? You cannot just change the last part of the link with some other name or some other page. Maybe I also change the whole page structure. So you really need to know which page is most relevant, content-wise, to the previous page that is broken. Well, the easy answer, is of course a large language model. But, well, it's not as simple as that, of course. And so let me walk you through how we solved it, so in our architecture here. So we have the live site, and from the live site, we take all the metadata, like the H1 tags, the description tags, the title tags, and we ingest that information into an S3 storage. Then we use an external service to get a list of all the broken backlinks on the page that are broken, from all of the other sites. And we save this list that we get from that service into the same storage. Then we train a large language model with a multi-prompting approach, where we feed it all of the information from the metadata alongside with all the corresponding links. And then we make a request to that large language model for each broken backlink to get a list of free suggestions. And that is our current implementation as we have it right now. But we are working as well on auto-fixing that. So the goal is to take the list of suggestions and write it directly into the Edge Delivery Services redirects file and publish this to the live site again. But there is, of course, still a real human in between here that has to approve the changes and the suggestions from the large language model. OK, next we come to the indexing part.
Thank you, Damian. So for the indexing part, what happens here is that the search engine is storing what it finds out about your page in a large database, which is called an index. And your purpose is, when a query is performed in this large database, that your page appears as part of the query results. And now let's look at what indexing is actually looking at. It's looking at keywords. These are either words or phrases that indicate the main topics of your web page. Then it's also looking at the metadata, which can be title, description, or other tags from the page. And it's also looking at the structure of your page, meaning how it is organized. It is better to have a structure that includes header, footer, a body, several sections, and several H1s or H2 to also identify the hierarchy inside of the page. Now, I won't focus on the structure because this is provided out of the box with AEM Edge Delivery Services. But what I will focus on and go more in depth is the metadata. And let's give you some quick examples of metadata. For example, this is a title. The title is supposed to include keywords, but of course, it's supposed not to have only keywords as part of the title. And it's also important that you include there your branding name. I also included here an example of a description. This one, it needs to properly summarize the content of your page, and of course, also include the keywords. And last but not least, also a small example. In case you have images, it's also very important to add the description of your image. This is also important for accessibility purposes. And now I will focus more on H1 and the title, because mine and Damian's team have been working on improving how this looks like in a customer page. So let's look on the best principles. One of them is the length. So for example, an H1 and a title, they cannot be more than 60 characters in length. Then what else is important is that they include keywords. They have to be unique across all of the website. And also, ideally, in one page, you should not have more than an H1. Also, for the title, it's important that you include in it branding information. And the title also needs to be relevant to the content of the page itself. And now, as Damian showed an architecture, I can show you also the architecture of this solution that is supposed to improve the H1 and titles of your page. If we imagine we're having a live site, what we're doing is first, we're either looking at top pages, let's say top 200 pages that have the most views, or we can also look at the sitemap and get all the URLs that are inside of the sitemap. And then from them, we're scraping the pages, and then we're storing all of this metadata in some buckets in the storage. What happens next is that periodically or on demand, we're executing some internal checks that are checking for exactly what I showed you in the previous slide, which is, for example, the uniqueness, the length. And if we identify problematic titles or H1s, again, we are storing them inside of the storage. The next step is that we can provide suggestions also on demand or periodically. We're taking the problematic titles from the storage, and then by using change prompts, we're calling an LLM API that can provide some new suggestions for titles and H1s. But of course, the story is not over yet. Here, we're also working on a fix, but the story is a bit different than redirects. Of course, there's also the possibility to have an approval workflow. And then a user can just select the title or the H1 that they prefer. And then they would go directly to the content management, which is either, let's say, Google Drive or Microsoft SharePoint. But at the same time, you might be opinionated because it's content. And therefore, it's also good to maybe experiment and see the title and H1 that give the best results as part of the experiment. If you want more details about experimentation, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. it's a topic about this exact thing. Ekrem and Francisco are going to talk about it. And I'll pass on to Damian.
Thank you. OK, now let's talk about the scraping part of the search engine flow. So the scraping can essentially be divided into two phases. In the first phase, the search engine just retrieves the raw HTML as it comes from the server. It does not execute any JavaScript or load any dynamic content at all. So this serves as for a purpose that the search engine gets an immediate insight into what the page is about and into what the basic page structure looks like. Then in the second phase, all of the JavaScript is executed and all of the dynamic content is loaded. And here it's very important that the JavaScript is executed fast and the dynamic content is also loaded very fast. And because then the search engine really gets an insight from all of the content of the whole page, and the content does not time out. If you want to see for your own page where your current state is, then for the Google search engine, there's the Google Search Console, and you can use the URL inspection tool for a specific URL. And in there, you can click this view crawled page button, and this will show you the HTML as it is seen by Google as of this moment. You probably will notice if it's during this first phase or in the second phase. When all the content is loaded and JavaScript is executed, it looks slightly different. OK, now finally, let's have a look at the crawling part. And this is a very important part because this is essentially the whole entry point of this whole process. And if this part is not executed correctly or there's any flaws in there, then all of the rest of all of these optimizations, they do not matter at all. So let's look at the usual entry point. This is usually the robots.txt file that you have on your page. Here you can specify which pages certain user agents can visit, like in this example, the Googlebot, so the Google search engine. And you can also specify the sitemap, which contains all of the relevant information of the page. But here it is very important to note that the disallow property here is not meant to be used for a search engine to not index one of these pages. A search engine can still discover any of these pages through other sites that link to your page. So if you really want to exclude certain pages from search results, you need to use the noIndex meta tag. And I'm saying this because we had a lot of cases where people wanted to use the robots.txt file. Do not do that. Use the noIndex meta tag. And you can also specify the specific user agents in there to make sure that it's not indexed for just specific search engines. OK, let's look at the sitemap now. I'm just going to look at the XML sitemap because this is the most commonly used one and also the one with the most features. So according to the sitemap protocol, you can add 4 properties to a URL, which is the location, the last modified, and change frequency, and the priority. If you want to optimize for the Google search engine, you can ignore the change frequency and priority. You don't need to add them because Google straight up ignores those 2 properties. So let's look more closely at the last modified property. This is an important property. You need to take care of it, because whenever you update this property and the search engine loads the sitemap again, then the URL, which is referenced for the last modified property has been changed, is being re-added to the queue to scrape. But depending on the crawl budget of the whole site, the URL might not be scraped or visited again, because when the crawl budget is low, then you just add a lot of URLs to the whole queue, but it's never being purged. So you should really just focus on updating this last modified property for either the most important pages on your site or pages that had meaningful and a lot of change. And the crawl budget is not something that you can easily control. That all depends on the site popularity, how much money you're paying for the search engine, for ads, and a lot of more things.
All right, and now let's take an overview on the checks that our team is performing in the context of SEO. I will start with the content audits. So, as I've shown you before, we're doing H1 and title improvements, but we're looking also at other metadata. We're also doing structured data checks. So, for example, if your page includes a JSON-LD schema, we are making sure that it is properly formatted so that your products are included as part of the search engine search results. And also, you can have also other types, for example, frequently asked questions, and so forth. Another thing that we're looking at is structure audits. So as Damian was showing before, we are looking at the sitemap, and we are making sure that first it exists, and then that all the URLs that are part of it are valid. Then, as part of the page, we are checking if it includes a canonical tag, and if so, that this canonical tag is also a valid URL. Then, not only we're looking at broken backlinks, we're looking also at broken links that are part of your website. And we're not forgetting the technical elements. So before it was the Lighthouse Score, but now we're focusing on core web vitals that we're extracting from the RAM data. We're also checking if any of your top visited pages have any 404s, and also that the Apex domain is properly redirected to the www subdomain. And now maybe you're wondering, yes, but where is this in place? Well, this is in place on Slack as all of the communication with the AEM Edge Delivery Services customers happens. We have an application which is called the AEM app. You can add it as part of your integrations, and then it will have permissions to post on your channel the audit results. How it looks like, we secretize the customer name, but as you can see here, you get a report. This one tells you how many broken backlinks you received in the last week, and also it includes the URLs that have been broken, their title, for the purpose of the auto fixes that Damian was talking about, and of course the URL where it's coming from, to see how important it is to fix the backlink. Now, we also have customer success case for you. You can see in this graph that in the beginning, across time, the customer had not such good organic traffic, but after implementing the SEO optimizations that we were mentioning in the previous slides, it achieved a significant increase in the organic traffic. Now we started with a celebration, and we would like to end with a celebration. And hopefully next year we will celebrate again. What we're trying to celebrate is the customer success. And what we would like to, for you to take with you home is that the journey continues after go live, and you should also plan after your site goes live. You should monitor it and check to continuously improve it, because it helps you gain the success that you want. That's it for us, and if you have any questions.
Yes, after presentation and after go live, there are the questions. Yeah. Do you know the impact each field you presented before? Oh, that's cool. Now the question disappeared. Here. Has to the page search engine ranking. So like which of these fields has like probably most impact?
Okay, I'm not sure. Which things are we talking about?
Me neither. Let's skip the one. All right. EDS, okay, that's a better one. EDS is client-side rendered. Any drawbacks versus a server-side rendering approach for the mentioned SEO topics?
I'm going to take that.
You?
No, you can take it.
No,
different question. All right, yeah, we have like several of them.
That we not can cover in just one sentence. If you want to know more, come to us afterwards or write us an email and we will go into more detail.
Excellent answer. Yeah. Will these features you presented be available in AEM as a cloud service as well?
Good question. Yes and no, but that's something that we're not going to announce today. That's something for another time.
But the part with the auto-suggestions and the detection, yes, because it's agnostic. The auto-fixes, that is the different story.
All right. Thank you for having you on stage.
Thank you.